Video is starting. Starting. We are here. Hey everybody. Yay. It's Sally and Barbara and Laura, and we're here at Oklahoma Still and Back. I think that's where we are anyway.
Today.
Last time I checked.
Yeah, today we are so far.
Yep. Yeah. It's been kind of a long day. It's been kind of an interesting day. Right?
Yes, please.
In your veins? So we have decided to talk about shrinkage. Not of our waistlines. No, we're not having that happen. But we're talking about fabric shrinkage.
Yeah.
And one thing that we one thing I found when I was researching this subject, and I never really realized this, that commercial garments shrink. Because I never really thought about it. I mean, I guess I kind of just assumed that they would have kind of already shrunk it. But according to some of the stuff I was reading, they don't shrink. So you have to consider that garment that you're trying on in the store,
when if it's perfectly
might
in the store,
shrink.
Yeah, might not fit.
Might not fit after you've sent it to the cleaners or washed it.
Yeah.
So I thought...
And you didn't gain weight, the dress shrank. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yeah.
No, that's what somebody told me. I mean, especially if you're buying clothes from overseas, out of size.
I just never realized, I never really thought about it. I mean, I guess it totally makes sense if you're buying a cotton shirt.
Yeah.
And you better not buy one that fits nice and like skin tight, because, well, it's just going to be really skin tight next.
You're going to have the gap opuses on your buttons.
Yeah. So anyway, well, I'm going to switch over to you, Laura.
Okay.
I don't know what you want to go to 3.
Let's go to 3. 3's good.
There we go.
Okay. So we took several fabric swatches and saturated them.
So this is something that they might not have considered, right?
Right.
So you've cut all your fabric squares out, and now you're gonna iron them and starch them,
right?
Or spray them with water or whatever you're gonna do.
So this is the starchy one. You can see it doesn't fall down. Where this is the regular. This is the regular one. This is the starched one. And so this is my original size. Now we cut these fabrics to exactly the same size. I stacked them on top of one another, lined up all of my sides, and saturated this one with starch. And then I just held the iron over it. I wasn't pressing the iron down. I just held the iron over it. And you can see here, I'll turn it this way, that it shrank a little bit. Just a little bit.
Like a 1/16, 1/8?
Yeah, like about 1/8 of an inch. And you might think, oh, well, that's not very much. But you multiply that across how many pieces you have in your quilt, and pretty soon your 72-inch quilt is now a 70-inch quilt.
Yeah.
You know, so you could lose quite a bit. It also shrank up a little bit on the other edge. Now, that's the thing about fabric, is it can shrink in both directions, depending on how tight either the warp or the webbed threads are. Okay, so that was our blue one. Our white one.
So you probably want to starch it before you cut the fabric, if you're going to starch.
Yeah, and
before you cut
press it before. Now, one thing I did find, because we did the same test, and with this one, I hovered the iron over it, so it was just the heat that was drying out the fabric below. When I actually pressed the iron onto the fabric and moved it, I didn't get the shrinkage.
But the first one, where I thought it was the same size, you felt like it made it bigger.
Which doesn't make sense. So I'm thinking maybe they weren't the same size.
But then it could have stretched it. I mean,
Maybe.
I don't know.
It could.
But when I was pressing the iron on it, I was not getting the shrinkage because I think the iron is just holding it down. And I was using the Aliso iron, which is a heavier iron.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
could have an effect.
But
Okay.
it's an interesting.
Now this one, again, cut to just the same size. And I used water on this one, not starch. So this was my water one. This is my original. Now the original fits right inside that little grid. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 by 5. Okay. The water one, again, just holding the iron above it, not, it's hard to see on the white, but you saw that one filled the 4 by 5 grid. So this one,
Oh man, that's a
4
lot
inches
smaller.
still there, but look at this end.
That's almost a whole 1/4 inch.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
3/16 of an inch difference. So if I put this right on top like this, you can see that it shrank up quite a bit.
Yeah.
You can see the difference.
That's going to make a big difference.
Yeah. So depending on the type of fabric you have, could affect your outcomes. So I've had people ask me, well, should I pre-wash fabric before I quilt? And my answer is, it depends. If you're going to pre-wash your fabric, pre-wash all of it, including the backing. So everything is shrunk when you start your project. Now, I have pre-washed quilt batting. It is a pain. You have to wash it in the bathtub. Do not
I have a
put
good
it in the
excuse. I don't
washer.
have a bathtub in my house.
You have a big sink, I know. But pre-washing batting is difficult because it's very bulky. It holds a lot of water.
Yeah.
Drying it out, I had to move the shower bar in so it's over the bathtub, and then I hung it up over that. And it took ages to dry.
Yeah.
And you don't want to wring it out because that distorts the batting. So you're going to get, depending on your batting, you can get anywhere from 3 to 5, even 8 to 10% shrinkage in your batting if you wash your finished quilt in hot water.
I wash my finished quilts, but I don't do it in hot water.
I wash them in warm water.
I wash everything in warm water.
Yeah.
With color catcher the first time I get it.
So now,
yeah.
Gudrun from
GE
Designs sprays her stabilizer on, or her whatever she's using her on, not on her batting, but her fabric.
Oh, okay.
And lets it dry.
Oh.
She does not use the hot iron. Now you're probably not going to get, I think you get less shrinkage from that, but she always does that before she cuts.
Okay.
So if you are going to get any kind of shrinkage or anything like that,
well, and one
you're going to have less of a problem.
We did some research, and it says there are several things that cause shrinkage, especially in natural fibers like cotton. Hot water, hot dryers,
yeah,
and the agitation of the washing machine. Because agitating the fibers, here's what it says. Friction and agitation, the physical tumbling of washing machine compresses fibers together, causing them to lock into a tighter configuration. And once they do that, it would be difficult to get them undone. There is a method. I have not tried this. It was just one that I read when I was doing my research. It said you wash your fabric again in hot water to relax the fibers again. Throw in hair conditioner to soften the fibers and make them more pliable, and then air or line dry the fabric and pull it out to its original shape. Personally, I think that's too much work. If it shrinks, just deal with it and makes.
I don't really mind a quilt. I don't really mind a quilt. I don't pre-wash my quilt fabric. I don't mind if it just.
I like
the way that it looks like that.
It gives it more texture.
But I do have a problem with my squares not being the same size as what I cut them. Because that's going to be a problem if you, right?
Right.
If you cut something an inch and now it's only
by a
3/4 of an inch, or it's
yeah.
off, because then your blocks are off. Because I've discussed this with a couple of our customers where, oh, my blocks are off. But if you're ironing them with too hot of a steam and you're shrinking your block, so now it's not the right size, now you're off. You're off.
Like if this was the size of your block, after I press this, I'm okay this way.
Right,
it's
but you're
same,
not okay the other
I'm
way.
Short this
Correct.
way.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't necessarily know that because just by
you're not going to
looking at them like this, they look the same.
It looks okay.
This one doesn't look marginally
unless you
smaller.
really measure it.
Yeah.
So my advice on this particular thing is, I don't think you should be using steam when you're ironing your blocks, probably, once you cut. And also, I think,
well, even when pressing seams,
right,
it's going to make a difference.
It's going to make a difference.
Yeah, I turn my steam off.
And then I think that you should use your. I might be just spraying my starch on and letting it dry now, ahead of time.
Yeah. See, and I had never thought of that, letting it dry on there. I always press it in.
I know, but I'm thinking maybe that
when it's wet,
what if
creating that steam?
And what if it's not all sprayed on it evenly?
Yeah.
What if some of it is wetter and some of it's drier, and you're ironing it, and you're in a hurry, so you're using a nice, real hot iron, like linen instead of cotton.
Yeah.
Then some of it's gonna be shrinking more. Some parts of the piece is gonna shrink more than the other. It's not gonna shrink evenly.
Yeah.
I would venture a guess also that it's not going to shrink evenly because you're not heating the piece of fabric evenly.
Right.
So anyway, well, back to your story.
Okay.
I digress. The squirrels have wandered by.
So this is obviously a triangle. I sprayed this
for those of you who don't know,
with water and hovered my iron over it. And this side and this side are relatively the same. Now I did measure before I did the spray with water and the hovering and the iron, and they were the same size. But now, I don't know if you can tell, but they're off by a good amount down here at the bottom. But when I flip it over, it's off over here. It's like wonked. And I purposely didn't press the iron on it because I didn't want to wonk it out. But it's like longer up here, and then on the back side, it's longer over here by a significant amount.
So it not shrink it didn't shrink evenly?
No.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Is that because of the bias, you think?
I don't know.
Well, I might not have cut those square on the, those might not be cut square on the bias if I didn't cut them square on the grain. It might have done that, shrunk that way because it's not square on the grain.
But I mean,
but then you're going to be really upset.
I think this one would get longer, and I did measure them before.
How upset are you going to be about that?
Well,
when you sew that together,
it depends on what I'm making. If I'm doing half square triangles, I like to oversize them a little bit anyway, and then I can trim them down, so I wouldn't be too upset. But if I'm making,
is it happening where the dog ears are?
No,
it's happening
all
the
at
way.
The point and the dog ear.
Oh.
What I didn't understand was the point. If you see now, this is my shrunken fabric. If I look at the right side of the fabric, it's now larger than my original fabric, and they were the same size. But then on this corner, it has shrunk about, let's see, let me measure that. I don't know how to measure that. About 1/8 of an inch, but only part way down. So from here to here, it shrank, but from here to here,
But if you
It
line
got
up,
bigger.
what happens if you line the edges up? Turn
Okay,
it
so
over
if I line up the point,
yeah, turn it over so we can see from the right on the other side where it's easier to see.
well, I'll put one with the color and one with the solid. Okay, so I'm lining up the point, and I'll line up one edge. Oh, look, it's way off. They were the same. I did check that. Okay. So there's my point here. It's matching. My point here, well, it was matching, but now it's just kind of close. So I'll match the 90-degree angle. Okay. When I do that, and I did not press the iron to it, I just hovered the iron over it. Look at the difference. That's a lot. And it's not that it's smaller, it's just misshapen now. Because when I line up any point, now my points are not aligned on
It's
the other
no
two
longer
corners.
right, so it's still a right angle.
So it may have shrunk. It may have something to do with the bias. I know the warp and weft may shrink at different rates, and because this is on the bias,
so line up the right angle. Line up the right angles.
Okay. So there's the right angle lined up along one side and the bottom. So the right angle
so
is
you
lined
can't
up.
keep the right angles lined up.
No, look at this. That's a lot of difference. See that? I mean, that's like a ½ inch.
I don't even understand how it shrank.
I don't know,
I
but
think
the
it
more
just
you play with the
distorted.
bias, the more it gets stretched out.
Yes, that's true. But
she wasn't playing with it, so how
I
did
was
it
just
stretch?
hovering the
How
iron
would
over
it
it
get
to dry it
stretched
out. But I'm looking at this fabric. Okay, so I have a question because I didn't cut this. Was the hypotenuse the bias, or were the sides
I don't
the
remember.
bias? Okay.
I can't tell you. You can probably tell by tearing it. But
oh, let's see. Let me go to the original one.
This is the bias.
Okay, so my short sides are the bias.
Yep.
Okay. So that might be why
and that
we have
depends
all kinds...
upon where it's cut. That might be cut different. Make sure it's on the sides.
Yeah,
stretch? Yeah,
it is. So my bias is along these edges, and those are the edges I'm having problems with. So the bias may shrink differently than straight up grain.
It's a mess now.
I know.
I don't care. I'm not going to use it. It's
okay.
just trash.
Okay.
I know
but
that
I mean,
will appall you. You can take it home with you.
Thank you. So those are significantly different.
Well, that's not. I mean, that's going to be a mess to sew together if you iron those after. If you ironed those after you had cut them.
I think anytime you're going to cut something and have a biased edge,
you probably,
I guess, starch it first. But I like your tip of.
And I have a feeling this is probably why Gudrun says to just let the starch dry.
Yeah, that's a good tip.
I wonder if that's why, because when you're ironing it, who knows what you're doing to it.
Right. Well, we can see here that
that's a big
bias
problem.
Edges, that's a huge difference between those two pieces. That's almost ½ inch.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, that's a ½ inch difference on that edge. So, biased edges or bias cuts, spray the entire piece of fabric first, let it dry, then press it, then cut.
Get a press.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Now, we have some other fabrics.
I mean, I think that was a very interesting exercise.
It was.
Because I did know when I had been doing iron, because I had put starch on stuff after I had cut. And I did feel like stuff had shrunk.
Now you know.
Now I know that was not a imaginary little thing. Silly me.
Okay.
Okay then.
So this is our Fabulous. Is that what it's called?
Fabulism.
Fabulism fabric. And Sally has taken a piece of Fabulism, cut 2 pieces the same size. So here's this one, and then we washed one. Now this one, remind you, it was the same size. It has shrunk considerably. So depending on how loose the weave is in your fabric, significantly will affect the amount of shrinkage. So
Yeah, because they're all like that.
And they're cottons.
These are cottons.
And
they did
if you're making a garment, you definitely want to pre-shrink your fabric.
Oh, absolutely.
And then buy a little bit of extra fabric so that you have enough fabric to cut out your pattern.
Right.
Nancy had
You'll see it shrink.
Cotton that shrank. How much? 3 inches each direction?
It shrank 2 inches in width, so from selvage to selvage.
And 3 inches in length.
And 3 inches in length.
And so she ended up having to
buy a 2-yard piece.
And she ended up having to buy an extra 1.5 yards, I think.
Right.
In order to be able to cut out her pattern.
So whenever you're buying fabric for garments, whenever you're buying fabrics for garments, I always recommend you buy at least 1/2 yard more than you need. So 2 reasons. Number 1, you always pre-wash fabric for garments and wash it. You can follow the manufacturer's instructions for the fabric if you want to do that. But if you do that, make sure that you wash the garment the same way. If you're not going to wash the garment that way, then when you pre-wash your fabric, if you're going to wash the garment in warm water, wash the fabric in warm water. I use the same soap. I use the same fabric softener. I do everything the same as if it was the finished garment, and that's how I pre-wash my garment fabrics. So when I'm done, then I just press it, I make my garment, and it's good. The research says for cotton fabrics or natural fibers, but particularly with cotton, they're only going to shrink the first time. You're not going to get much shrinkage after the first time.
Okay.
So that's nice to know.
Yeah, that is good to know. And I feel like that's true. I don't feel like if I've made something, if once I wash the fabric and I make a garment, I don't feel like it shrinks again.
Yeah. Okay, so there's several different groups of fabric. So they have natural cellulosic, which is cotton, linen, and hemp. This says it can shrink up to 5 to 10% is normal. If you have low quality fabric, you know what I'm talking about, it can shrink up to 20%. The low quality fabric is something that is not tightly woven to begin with. So the fibers, instead of locking in like this, are more like this. So the fabric is less dense. So when you have those big gaps and you wash it, it goes. Whereas if you have fabric that's like this and it shrinks, a lot less movement in the fibers because there's not as much room for the fibers to move. Okay, then you have regenerated cellulose, which is rayon, viscose, and modal. Shrinks between 5 and 11%.
And I would have thought rayon and those things didn't shrink. I didn't know they shrunk.
I didn't either, especially not up to 11%. Animal protein.
Well, I guess that's why I have a couple of shirts that don't fit anymore, but that explains that.
I'm using this excuse for everything now.
Yeah.
Okay.
The fabric shrunk.
That's right.
Yeah.
Animal proteins, wool, silk, and cashmere.
No, I knew wool shrunk.
Yeah. Wool will
always.
Shrink.
And cashmere.
Forever.
Because
I don't think it ever stopped shrinking.
I can't wear either one because they both make me itch. So.
Well, I can wear silk and cashmere. I can't wear wool. So, but they say that wool, silk, and cashmere can shrink between 4 to 8%. Wool can felt much higher, meaning it can shrink much more. So, like Sally says.
Oh, yeah. Well, have you never felted anything?
No,
yes, I've made a hat.
Oh, yeah, you can.
And felted it, and then it'll fit.
Ah,
yeah, you can. You like really shrink something up. That's pretty cool. It's
okay.
fun.
I know. Charlotte does a lot of felting.
Yeah.
Her stuff's amazing. Okay, synthetic fibers such as polyester, nylon, and acrylic, because they're not real fibers. I mean, they're man-made.
Yeah.
They don't shrink. Some of them, lower quality ones, could shrink as much as 3%, but typically they won't shrink. Now, question then becomes, what if it's a blend of cotton and polyester? That's anybody's guess. Who knows? How much cotton is in the blend? How much polyester is in the blend? What quality of the cotton is there? What quality
if you're
of the
making a
weave
garment,
is
it's
there?
probably wise to just go ahead and wash it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
I'd
you don't
wash
have
it.
to worry, because why are you going to put all that work into making a garment and then it's going to shrink?
Okay, so I have a very sad story to tell you.
Okay.
I found the most beautiful navy blue crepe wool, and it was at Buttons and Bows. Remember that store? Okay. And they had 5 yards of the stuff, so I bought it. I was so excited. Oh, it was just the most glorious fabric. So I go home and I make a beautiful suit. I've got a jacket and a skirt, and it is gorgeous.
Oh.
And I wore it to work. I was so proud, because it was beautiful. And then, over time, I had to wash it. It didn't fit me no more. And it didn't shrink 3%. It went, it shrank a lot.
Probably you should have sent it to the cleaners.
I probably should have. Lesson learned.
Yeah, wool
Don't
I would
buy
send to
crepe
the
wool.
cleaners. Well, no, I think
was
wool you always
beautiful.
send to the cleaners.
And it was lined. I even lined the jacket and the
it was
skirt.
Gorgeous.
And the lining did not shrink because it was synthetic.
Wasn't wool.
It wasn't wool. It was just a
I think all my wool
lining.
stuff I always sent to the cleaners.
Yeah. Well,
I made a lot of wool stuff when I used to sew a lot.
Yeah. This was a beautiful suit. I only got to wear it. Very sad story.
It is sad.
And nobody wanted it after it shrank because the lining didn't shrink. So it looked like.
Well, you could fix that.
Yeah, well, I wasn't going to fix it. I already made the thing. If you want to fix it, you can have it for free. But nobody would take it. Not even the thrift stores. But anyway. So.
But now they might, because that's where people are going to find fabric to make stuff
Oh, that's true. That's true. I've seen a lot of upcycling.
There's a lot of upcycling now.
Yeah.
And it's cute.
Marty would have taken it.
Oh, she would have, yes. She would have done amazing things with it, too.
Yes.
Okay, the last category that they have is knits versus wovens. So, jersey versus canvas. Excuse me. Knits will shrink significantly more than wovens due to the looped structure of a knit.
Well, that totally makes sense.
It'll tighten the loops, so it shrinks it up a lot more. And it says how to calculate the shrinkage rate. It gives you a little test, if you will. Cut a square of fabric, 12 and a half inches by 12 and a half inches. Mark the grain line with an arrow that won't wash out, indicating the warp or lengthwise grain. Then wash and dry your fabric as you would the finished garment. After you've taken it out of the dryer, remeasure. Lay the swatch flat without stretching it and measure the new dimensions. And then calculate the shrinkage rate so that you know how much additional fabric you need. Yeah, if you need. But
But then that means you've already bought some fabric.
I know.
So why don't you just come buy extra fabric from us?
Yeah, buy extra fabric.
We'll give you a discount.
With.
Yeah. Anyway.
So you buy 3 yards, you do your little test, you find out you need 4. How are you going to cut your pattern piece out of that extra yard?
Right, you would have had to already buy some already.
Piece.
Yeah, it depends. If you're doing long sleeves, you can put it there. You can put the collar there.
Yeah.
Oh, another thing about sleeves.
Now, I ran short one time, so my yoke on a shirt was a different color.
Oh, that works.
But that works.
When I first started sewing, I really didn't know what I was doing. I was self-taught, hence the suit not getting washed beforehand. And then I had this beautiful piece of fabric. It was a print fabric, like a cotton. And I wanted to make a blouse. So I made the blouse. It turned out beautifully. But I didn't have quite enough fabric. And I was looking at the pattern instructions, and it told me to cut the sleeve on the bias. And well, I don't have enough fabric to do that, so I'm just going to cut
What
them
the hell
straight.
You want to cut a sleeve on the bias for?
So when you go like this, you've got that stretch in there.
If your fabric fits you like this, you don't have to do that.
Well, I was following the pattern.
Oh.
Except it said, cut the sleeves on the bias. And I thought, well, they don't fit that way. So I cut them straight of grain. And I put the shirt on and I was like, I couldn't do this. Because it was...
Well, that also might not be your sleeve. That might be your back.
Well, I don't know. The back was straight of grain, I think, but the sleeves,
no, but your back might not be big enough. They don't make blouses. I took a blouse fitting class.
Oh, okay. Well, like I said, this is when I was a very newbie.
Yeah, that's the only thing that saved me, was taking that.
Ah.
From Barbara.
Oh, yeah. She was good.
She was really good.
She was really good.
Well, Palmer and Pledge has a really good books about fitting.
Yeah.
I took one of their classes.
Yeah,
fitting. When you were at the old store, I took their class. That was a great class.
Yeah, that was really a good class. I still have that pair of pants
that I haven't finished.
Why finish anything you
all
make?
I have to do is put the waistband on.
Is that what we're supposed to do? Is finish something?
Yeah.
Goodness.
I don't know.
I thought I was just supposed to stick it in the closet and say the hell with it.
That works too. I've got a lot of those.
Yeah, I do too.
So, in summary, I always pre-wash fabric that I'm going to use for garments.
I always do too.
Washing your fabric for quilts, pre-washing your fabrics for quilts is a personal choice. I personally choose not to do it because I like the antique-y look that you get.
Well,
you
also I like the crisp sizing. Yeah,
so you can cut straight.
It's easier to sew with non-washed fabrics for quilting.
And if you're doing kaleidoscope quilts,
you don't wash that.
You don't want to wash those because you don't want to remove that sizing, because then when you put it, you stack your layers together, getting them all lined up is a nightmare.
Yeah.
So,
and what we are recommending now after our little iron test is spray starching and letting it dry.
Yes. Yes. I like
as
that
recommended by our friend Gudrun at GE Designs. And
that's what I've always done before I use the AccuQuilt Go. Because I want them flat.
Yeah.
I always spray. Let it dry a little bit, and iron it.
Yeah, and then iron it after it's dry, because I think you're gonna have too much distortion.
I never thought about that.
Well, I didn't realize it would make so much distortion in the stupid piece of fabric.
Until we started looking at this one, I didn't either.
That is just crazy stuff. But I do feel like I have had that problem in a quilt, where I was starching the stuff after I had cut, and I think that the sizes were a mess, and I had to recut a whole bunch of pieces in those.
And then you feel like you're just wasting a bunch of fabric.
Oh yeah, in those wonky in that wonky triangle thing. Well, that's totally wrong. The size is wrong. Anyway, okay. Well, thank you guys for watching. We appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you would please, in the comments, somebody has to have some idea of something you would like us to talk about. Something. Anything. All right. Well, we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.